Hey, thanks for watching. In this second video, I want to briefly discuss something, an idea that's just always talked about when it comes to losing weight. And you hear it from your trainers, your coaches, your teachers, your parents, everybody, right? Is to eat less and exercise more. Well, the problem with this is that it completely ignores how our body actually works, how we metabolize food, the biochemistry behind all this, the actual hormones involved, things like insulin and leptin and your sensitivity to those things. It just ignores all of that. And it also, goes along the lines of, a calorie is a calorie. So if you just restrict calories a little bit, then you'll lose weight following, the law of thermodynamics, which doesn't necessarily apply in this case for numerous reasons. But a calorie is not a calorie. I don't know why this idea persists in the 21st century. You'd think we'd move past that by now. A slice of cheesecake and a Snickers bar is not the same as a salad and a lean piece of chicken breast. Even though you can weigh them out to have the exact same amount of calories, just use some common sense. What do you think is better for you? It just doesn't make sense. A calorie is not a calorie. Sugar, fructose, high fructose corn syrup, all pretty much all the same stuff. And carbohydrates to an extent, or at least excessive carbohydrates, all interrupt how your body works. And so, but I don't want to dig into that in this particular video. I'm going to try to stick to eating less and exercising more. Well, to get back into simple terms here, when you eat less, what happens? What do you feel when you eat less? You feel hungrier, right? You mean to tell me that you can go all day without eating and just not be hungry? I don't think so. You're going to get hungry. You're going to get hungrier. If you don't eat enough, your body's going to tell you you need to pick it up. You need to get something to eat. Well, what happens when you exercise? You get hungry because you're expending that energy and your body's telling you you need to get some more to keep that activity level up. So, you know, people that actually understand that, which I guess most people probably do understand that. I'm sure doctors understand that and coaches understand that. The problem is they don't know what it's like to be fat, apparently, because they like to say, well, you just need some willpower, right? You just need to exercise restraint. That's all it takes. You just need to exercise restraint, use willpower. Yeah, you're going to be hungry, you're going to be miserable, but if you just show some restraint, you'll be all right. And eventually you'll get lean and everything will be a-okay. The problem is this ignores your body. It ignores your hormones. It ignores how you metabolize certain foods. It ignores all this kind of stuff. And I don't know about you, but I think it's kind of hard to fight what your body is telling you. For example, let's say you're going through puberty. You're 12 years old and you're a guy and you're about to put on some muscle, you're about to get taller, you're about to lean out a little bit. You're going through puberty, you got raging hormones. Well, can you just use willpower to shut all that off? Can you just use willpower to say, well, I don't want to grow taller. I don't want any more muscle. I'm not sure why anybody would think that or want that, but anyways, can you just willpower your way to not having those effects? Or the reverse, can you just use willpower to make yourself grow even taller or, or get more muscle just out of the response of puberty? And the answer is no, of course not. That doesn't even make any sense at all. So why do people think that makes sense when it comes to weight gain and weight loss? It doesn't, because more things are at work than than what you see on the surface. It's not just your activity level, it's not just your calorie consumption. Although food does have a lot to do with it, I would argue probably 75 to 80% of your body composition is going to come from what you're eating, or the amounts of what you're eating. But the thing is, your body regulates that wonderfully. Take a look around nature. How many omnivores or carnivores do you see that are just morbidly obese, struggling to get out and do anything? Not very many. The only thing I can think of is house cats that are force fed, all kinds of crappy food. But it just doesn't add up. this advice just does not follow how our bodies work. And there's all sorts of reasons. I'll get into the science in later videos. I'll be talking about, thyroid issues. There's all kinds of little diseases here and there that fat people are likely to have. Thyroiditis and Cushing's or whatever. And the main two, I think, is or a lack of insulin sensitivity and leptin resistance. This is commonly termed now by doctors as metabolic disorder. And a lot of people like to shrug that off and say, oh, that's just that new science quackery stuff. Back in my day, we just didn't eat anything if we got fat. This just completely ignores everything. As I said, a calorie is not a calorie. You can't ignore your body's hormones, your biochemistry, and how you metabolize food. You cannot ignore that and hope to succeed in the long run. And trust me, I've been there. I've done that. I've done I've done a million different kinds of diets, and it just doesn't add up. However, once you understand all this, you can manipulate how you eat, how you exercise, your eating power, your eating hours, and all kinds of stuff. You can manipulate this to get it to work easily where you won't be miserable, you won't be hungry all the time, you won't be fatigued and sleep 20 hours a day. You'll be just fine. And as you can tell, I'm not there yet, but I'm getting there, and it's actually pretty easy. So if you would follow along, and we'll get there together.